RIDGID's latest development, the RIDGID Gen5X 18-volt belt sander, is bound to get carpenters excited, especially since it's on the tail of that cordless router that came out over the summer. We recently took the RIDGID belt sander to the job site and played with it here in the shop. I don't often get to use a belt sander in the work that I do, and when I do, it's for short periods of time. It's not an all-day affair for me. So for that reason alone, the idea of a cordless belt sander was kind of a cool idea. My first impression of the sander, I noticed that it looked and felt very similar to my corded belt sander. In fact, it's a lot lighter. There are not a lot of extras or features other than it is cordless and a brushless motor. The RIDGID sander uses a 3-inch by 18-inch sanding belt. It has all the standard features that you would probably be used to seeing, such as a lock-on button for maybe sanding for extended periods of time or for clamping it upside down, variable speed dial, belt tensioning lever, and tracking knob. And when equipped with a 5 amp hour battery, it weighs 7.5 pounds. One fun feature that I noticed is that the front handle, which is also called a pommel, I learned that the other day, is adjustable. To adjust the handle, you need to use an onboard hex wrench, and you need to completely remove a set screw in the handle. The handle slides up and down to 3 possible groove adjustments or locations. And these 3 grooved locations allow that set screw to go back in and engage, so you can set your handle at 3 different spots. As far as dust collection goes, the RIDGID belt sander comes with a dust collection bag, and we found it works best when you empty it at the halfway full mark. The bag also has an 1.25 inch dust port that accepts the vacuum hose nicely for dust extraction and collection. I connected the sander to my workshop system, my dust collection system, and I sanded some mahogany stock. I just wanted to see how efficient it was. It was very efficient at pulling the dust off the belt and directing it to the hose. And RIDGID actually claims that their dust collection is 90% efficient. That's pretty good, cordless tool. Usually when I use mahogany, when I sand mahogany, within a short period of time, I'm sneezing. Well, I found there was minimal dust left on the mahogany face when I was done sanding, and there was no noticeable dust in the air. And no sneezing. As far as using the RIDGID belt sander, it was lighter, more comfortable, and more maneuverable than I ever anticipated. I found the adjustments were easy to operate. The belts attach, detach, and adjust quickly. When sanding, we found that the sander motor was powerful enough to remove stock quickly and also allow for kind of a normal feed rate, sanding feed rate. The side profile of the sander is actually flat, which allows you to get up close flush up to edges, which is really nice. Decibels. We looked at decibels for safety on the job site. Belt sanders tend to have that whining sound, really loud whining sound. We did a quick decibel test around the RIDGID belt sander. We did it around the unit as well as up at operator ear height. We found the decibels to average around 104 and to top out at 107.5 max. While not loud per se compared to what we're used to on the job site, hearing protection definitely recommended. Runtime. Everyone wants to know about runtime, and they all want to know how long the battery lasts on a belt sander. We put a little teaser out on social media. Most people doubted that it would last long at all. So we decided to find out. We built a sanding test rig out of birch plywood, and basically the rig boxed it in, kept the sander in place while running, while we locked the trigger on, and we put a strap on the sander to hold it down onto the sanding surface. We tensioned the strap slightly to give a slight downward pressure, and then we equipped it with a 5 amp hour battery to do our testing. Our reasoning for applying slight downward pressure on that strap was predicated on the fact that normal use of a belt sander, basically you rely on the weight of the tool. But let's face it, there are times when we do bear down on the tool to get a little more aggressive in our sanding, or maybe we're holding it in a certain way. The strap simulated slight downward pressure, but not abuse. We ran the sander continuously, and while we recognize that this tool might not normally be operated continuously that long, we felt there was a reasonable metric to kind of give you guys an idea of how long this thing will last. Ran 2 tests, averaged 22 minutes of runtime off that 5 amp hour battery. Periodic testing of the tool's temperature with a thermometer showed ranges of temperatures from 70 to 90 degrees. The tool never got hot. For the RIDGID development team, I would say overall construction, the RIDGID belt sander seems durable, with the exception of maybe that tensioning knob. It sticks out a little bit. It is kind of protected, but I felt that if it got bumped, heavily bumped, or maybe dropped, it could get damaged. Cost, it sells for $149 online or at Home Depot as a bare tool, and it is available now, January 2017. So I guess overall, to conclude, we were really impressed with the RIDGID belt sander, and we were impressed enough that it actually found a home in my foreman's tool van right next to that cordless router that he took. RIDGID turned up the gas on their last few tool releases. If you're invested in the RIDGID platform, you're going to want this sander. If you're looking for a tool company that offers full range of innovative job site solutions, durable, powerful, and well-priced tools, then you need to look closer at RIDGID. Please consider subscribing to this channel. Just click that red button right below. And if you'd like to read the full article, the link is in the description of this video. I'm Rob Robillard. We'll see you at the next tool review. Take care.